neighborhoods. You'll see a little red star on there that kind of in the top right, which kind of indicates where we're sitting right now this morning, and we'll go from there. So in real estate, new development often drives demands. Perfect examples are just look around the Pont City Market or the completed portion of the Beltline. Well, these areas were already pretty desirable. These really visible, highly visible projects have driven up price and demand for residential properties in those neighborhoods. Even on a smaller scale, you can look at the impact on Edgewood that the streetcar has had on Edgewood Avenue alone. This was a frightening little strip of in-town street, and it has really undergone a major transformation, with little pubs and restaurants appearing and an influx of hipsters. So you want to get into the next hot and upcoming neighborhood, your best bet is to follow development. And I'm going to touch on a few of those new developments. So the first one, everybody I'm sure has heard about, is the new Falcon Stadium in Castleberry Hill. So Castleberry Hill is really the only true loft district in Atlanta. It's adjacent to the southwest corner of downtown, and I've circled it on the map there, the central business district downtown. It was the federally recognized historic district in 1985 and the City Atlanta landmark in 2006. And recently, in the last 6 or 8 months, I saw an article in USA Today that listed it as one of the top 10 art districts in the country. So the new development of the Falcon Stadium is 1.4 billion investment in that area, and it's now within walking distance of Castleberry Hill. I expect to see this neighborhood really take off because of this. By moving the stadium south of where it was previously located, it is now right on the very edge of the neighborhood, and it makes it much more walkable to get in and out of that area. And I expect as people are attending sporting events or different functions at the new stadium, they'll be strolling in and out of that neighborhood for drinks, dinners, so on, shopping, and enjoying the art district for the art museums. So I expect in the next 12 to 18 months, as the stadium nears completion, you're really going to start to see an influx of this retail popping up in the neighborhood. Now, this is already a pretty desirable neighborhood, and the stadium is pretty much a sure thing since construction is well on its way. Recent sales in the neighborhood have ranged from as low as $80,000 to as high as $700,000. I think as the stadium nears completion, you're definitely going to see the lower end of that spectrum start jumping up. The next neighborhood I wanted to talk about is Summer Hill, and that's towards the bottom, again circled in red. So this was established back in 1865, and it was originally a neighborhood or an area settlement for freed slaves and Jewish immigrants. But today we know it is the neighborhood that surrounds Turner Field. So this neighborhood is made up primarily of single-family homes that range anywhere that have recently sold between $50,000 and $250,000. So the reason I think this area is going to see a big transformation, even though it already saw one back when the Olympics were here and Turner Field was initially built, is because, as we know, the Braves are moving up to Cobb County, and there's talk of redeveloping Turner Field. Right now, Georgia State's talking about taking it over, and I've heard of investments as high as $1 billion. So instead of seeing an influx of people coming in strictly for a sporting event, we have the potential to see a consistent flow of several thousand people coming in and out of that neighborhood on a daily basis if Georgia State does redevelop it. So the project is still really early on, but I think it's safe to say that if Georgia State University doesn't redevelop the Brave Stadium, somebody else is going to do something with it. It's not going to sit vacant. So the next area is on a much smaller scale, and it's circled in red, and there's no name on this circle. It's in the bottom right corner. Memorial Drive area in Cabbagetown, and it's a new development by Paces Properties. So most people have heard of Cabbagetown, and they're familiar with its quirky little neighborhoods and the little tiny row houses. It's already a pretty desirable area, but just south of Cabbagetown, on the south side of Memorial Drive, is this little area. It's like a 6-block no man's land. Some agents call it Cabbagetown, some agents call it Grant Park, but it kind of, again, it hasn't really seen much going on down there, and no one really knows what to call it. So it pretty much consists of single-family homes, some newer construction, some are literally falling down, and of all the recent sales have been under $150,000. And the reason I think this is going to take off is because right on Memorial Drive, the old Parliament Milk Factory is proposed to be redeveloped into the Atlanta Dairies. It's a $125 million project. It's going to consist of an indoor and outdoor music venues, bowling alley, restaurants, retail, and 300 apartments. This will be a new destination within walking distance of this little neighborhood, and I think this project alone is going to have that little area really undergoing a big transformation. Atlanta Beltline. If you live in Atlanta, you've heard of the Beltline. This is by far the single biggest project it's undergoing as far as total cost. If they're successful in developing the full 22 miles of this mass transit component, along with the mass transit component, this one project has the potential to have the biggest impact on the in-town Atlanta neighborhood. So while there are already completed sections of the Beltline, it's still not necessarily a sure thing. Not all the land that makes up the 22-mile loop is controlled or owned by the Beltline Authority, and it's anyone's guess whether the light rail component will actually be built. But if it does, it has the potential to turn the in-town Atlanta neighborhood into a truly walkable city where it's possible to live without a car and rely on mass transit. So the three neighborhoods in particular that I wanted to discuss are Peoplestown. So if you look at the map, again, Peoplestown circled towards the bottom, right in the center. This neighborhood is located directly south of Summer Hill, and it is within walking distance of the Turner Field redevelopment. So I believe that will benefit from that. But it's also bordered by the Beltline on the south. D.H. Stanton Park is a new Beltline park that's already opened in the neighborhood. In this area, the area consists of homes that are selling between $30,000 and $230,000. But it's sort of a double bonus between being on the Beltline and also the redevelopment of Turner Field. At the very bottom of the map, I've circled Capitol View. This borders the very southern side of the Beltline, and the southwest side of downtown Atlanta. The whole neighborhood is made up of these cute little bungalows, and although a lot of them have been neglected over the years and are kind of run down, they have a tremendous amount of potential. A little extra bonus for this neighborhood is a large 50-acre park, Perkerson Park, on the south side of the neighborhood. I drive through the area. It's a heavily used park. All the residents in the neighborhood actually go and use it, tennis courts, basketball, and so on. Howell Station is the next one. It's top left corner. Howell Station is a neighborhood just west of West Midtown, and if you haven't been over there, that area is blowing up right now. Howell Station borders the west side of the Beltline, and in addition to being on the Beltline, it's going to border the new West Side Park, which is a huge new park and water reservoir that's being developed as part of the Beltline development. Right now, homes in that area are selling between $150,000 and $300,000. So as the Beltline continues to develop, you're going to see, I expect you're going to see new retail little districts that pop up along the way, and if you can get near those, that's really, I think, where you'll see a big return. The north and east side of the Beltline are going to be running through neighborhoods that are already pretty desirable, but I think they're going to benefit as well. But I'm really interested to see what happens on the west and south side.